in Lewes in the Black Horse Pub. Well, hello, back again. And Mirador boasts, or doesn't boast, but its logo is local, but not parochial. And what do I mean by that? Well, we don't see broadcasting news information as a local thing. We do, however, recognise the environment in which we find ourselves, and we're in Lewes, and as a consequence, we see events occurring around us all the time in the local situation. And in fact, we are unique in television terms because we actually broadcast from a pub. We let the light in, we sit in the window, we allow the cleaner to come in and work behind us. Noise, extraneous noise is not locked out. Sometimes it's a little bit overpowering, but generally speaking, we'd like you to know that we are part of the world in which we are operating and talking about. So the local stuff is actually transfers to the national and international environment. And actually, research has shown that you can look at something in Lewes, and if it's the sort of thing that somebody in Auckland, in New Zealand, is interested in, they will watch you. So the fact that we go globally and do stuff that will appeal to populations globally, and it does, we get a lot of stuff, a lot of reaction from overseas, is we're doing our job. Now, I'm going to just take a quick look at the news as seen by the Times newspaper. But in there's an article I want to dwell a little on because it is all about the lack or loss of local newspapers, local news service. Right, bear with me, and I should start. I'll put my spectacles back on. Yes, I need them for this. Okay, the Times is on its front page is for those people who moot the electric car or want one or have bought one because they thought they wanted to be modern as well. Yeah, you can be all of those things still. But flawed tests mean electric cars can't travel as far as claimed. Electric cars can travel significantly less far on a single charge than is often claimed. because official tests are flawed. You know, Drive's been warned about this. The editor of What Car, a magazine specializing in the auto industry, Stephen Huntingford, said official laboratory tests had inadequacies and needed to be overhauled so that that driver may have realistic information and won't be less disappointed after buying an electric car vehicle. Yeah. Main story: Johnson to join election campaign in the Red Wall. Now, some of you may have forgotten what the Red Wall is. At the last election, a number of seats that had always been considered safe Labour seats swept to the Tories in the flush of Boris becoming Prime Minister. Now Johnson to join election campaign in that Red Wall. Those seats were known as the Red Wall seats. Boris Johnson is expected to campaign for the Conservatives in Red Wall seats before the general election after a thawing relationship with Rishi Sunak. Now, you may wonder about this because there are other stories suggesting that there are defectors to people like UKIP and Reform. In other words, Conservatives had enough of the Conservatives, and Boris has decided to back up the establishment, the home troops. Mm-hmm. Oh, I heard a voice say, "What for?" And I actually thought I've got somebody with me. It's only when the extended silence that I realised I'm talking to myself, but I'm not. I'm talking to you. So please bear with me. The former Prime Minister is likely to be deployed in the north of England and the Midlands as the Tories seek to win back the voters who helped Johnson to an 80-seat majority in 2019. And it says, okay, now there's a big row in the royal family. The Princess of Wales has admitted that she doctored a photograph of she and her children to persuade people that she was okay. Now she's issued an apology after admitting that she had edited an official family portrait. Oh, we all wanted to do that. A picture taken by her husband, the Prince of Wales, was released on Kensington Palace's social media channels to mark Mother's Day on Sunday. Within 12 hours, several news agencies had issued a film notice advising editors and librarians to delete the image because it had been manipulated. In a statement on social media, Kate said, like many amateur photographers, I do occasionally experiment with editing. I want to express my apologies for any confusion the family might have shared yesterday. Yeah, I don't know if it did or would. Yeah, I'm going to skip stories because I think you probably wouldn't be interested in. Now, here's a little one, a side one. The bottle is described as full-bodied with a complexity and variety aromatic notes that are said to go particularly well with salads. The diners expecting a fine French wine are in for a surprise. The 2022 message may look like a burgundy, but it was kind of trouble with the small print again. And chefs are trying to meet demand from customers who are increasingly unwilling to accompany their meals with the traditional glass of wine. But decline plain water. So French chefs are recommending geisha coffee from Ethiopia with Hereford beef filled. Yes, it's still alive. So you can get a special type of water with your meal. It's grilled Charlotte water that he says complements his cabbage and farro fish tart with pike egg sauce. As France explores its newfound interest in alcohol-free gastronomy, led by a trend for healthy living, uh, and the trend for healthy living tea. No, I'm right first time. By a trend for healthy living, tea has emerged as the number one option. Ooh. Uh-huh. Orange Jardin was launched a year ago. It is already selling its bottle in 50 or so upmarket restaurants in France and has plans to export to countries including Britain. Its teas from sources such such as Vietnam, India, Nepal, and Malawi. There we go. There are almost 4 million people on benefits in the country with no requirement to seek a job. Step out for a better and longer life, research suggests. Setting a national target of 5,000 daily steps could save the NHS 15 billion a year by reducing rates of chronic disease, according to research. Oh, and we're giving cooks 60 days off when their jails become too crowded. Series of emergency measures announced last night to set free to free up space in Britain's overcrowded jails. Now, here's something that is a bit naughty. A council in Watchet, which is a small town in Somerset, I think. Yes, Watchet in Somerset. An elderly lady, 101 years of age, has been told to fill in the potholes herself outside her property. Yeah, you see, the town halls have got all the wrong people in them. They are all authoritarian. They are all arrogant. They are all stupid. Huh. Now, Johnson has joined the Tories campaign just in time because nervous Tories are getting very, very sloppy with Sunak. And Anderson is who is Lee Anderson. Lee Anderson is affected. He's obviously Lee Anderson's affection to reform is a serious political headache for Rishi Sunak, one that will make it even harder to keep his fractious parliamentary party together. Right, okay. Labour must be on a war footing to boost the economy, says Gordon Brown, a former premier, who famously said, with his mic open, "Why did you let her ask that question?" or something like that. I couldn't defend playing my father in the Rolling Stones film, says Nigel Havers, Barris's father, represented Mick Jagger and Keith Richards. Vinyl records are back as inflation basket goes full circle. Vinyl records have been included in the basket of goods tracked by the Office for National Statistics to measure inflation for the first time since 1992. Now, that's how cost of living is determined, the RCI, the Retail Sale Index. And vinyl records, they must be coming back in numbers. The Statistics Agency said that a resurgence in popularity for physical vinyl records had resulted in the product being placed in the basket of goods for the first time since they were superseded by CDs and cassettes. Matt Corder, the deputy director for prices at the ONS, said often the technology, often the faster reflects the adoption of new technology. The return of vinyl records shows how cultural revivals can afford affect our spending. Morning. Now I should tell you the gaffer has just arrived. The chief of staff. How are you this morning, my boy?
All right.
Oh, look, he's all wrapped up against the rain. Come on, you'll see you. Here he is. Yeah.
Morning, all.
Right.
All right.
Now, I've just urged people to come to your pub.
Good. St. Patrick's Day this weekend, so.
Oh, gosh, yes. Oh, you were discussing with Chef the menu the other day.
Yeah.
What did you come up with?
Well, I wanted them to do an Irish stew and some Colcunnon, but.
No?
I don't think it's a goer.
Why not?
Well, it's tricky because our kitchen's franchised out and it's budgeted to what the menu is. And...
Well, now, just once in a while, because a real Irish stew is really broadly basically potatoes.
Yes.
It's very little meat. I would have thought that would be an easy one to make, but also, if you're going to have this sort of weather, stick to your ribs.
Yeah. Exactly. Well, I'll talk to him tomorrow.
Right. And I'll twist his arm sometime of the week.
I'll leave you to it.
All right. Yeah, I guess you've got a busy day.
Yeah.
Listen, I'll tell you something.
Yeah.
No, I'm telling the viewers, it's no easy matter running a pub.
No.
On Sunday, I'll tell you, he lost 20 pounds roaring around.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was good though. Yeah. And it's a very popular pub for lunch. But make sure you book. Yeah.
We did about 80 for lunch.
Did you really?
Yeah.
I left about 2:30, I guess, and there was a whole stream of walkers, young walkers coming down. They came in, did they?
I can't remember as a blur.
Well, there's.
I just got rid of the kitchen veg and just getting soaked outside.
Ah, right.
Yeah.
Right. Right, now there's one big story here. Oh, how about this one? We can learn to be happy, but must keep practicing. Meditating and talking to strangers have health benefits. You can learn how to be happier, and the effects can last for years if you keep on practicing what you've been taught, a study has suggested. Students were shown happiness hacks were found to have better mental well-being 2 years later, but only if they had kept on using them. Well, there you go. Flight delays have been worse and fares have been higher since COVID. Now, there's one big story here that I want to come to. I want to spend a bit of time on it. Nope. A sweet seller has been barred from a fresh food market. For 20 years, children in one Suffolk town have spent their pocket money on sherbet lemons, chocolate eclairs, jelly smogs, and other classic sweets at the local market. I've never heard of a jelly smog before. There we go. But now they will have to go elsewhere or adapt their tastes. How to the council? Ha ha ha! The council banished the sweet straw in a move towards fresh fare. How do we get people? How do we get people in who think like this? The councils are much the same right across the country. They think like nobody else, and then wonder why we set them up as a target of ridicule. I mean, really, couldn't you bet it? It's like it's like the flower seller for a while in the precinct was banned, had to go around the corner, been there forever. No, it wasn't good enough for our council. Oh, dear. Mix and sweets. Pick and mix sweets. He's been on our store since 2004, and then suddenly some idiot. Oh. Oh, dear. Right, now. I've been 27 minutes, I won't be much more, I assure you. But here we are. Death of local papers threatens democracy. Here, and bloody here. And the reason that we, limited though we are because of lack of funds, are here is because we are trying, at least in this area, to close the gap. And no, they won't have it. We get no help from the local council. They barely will come and talk to us, and then they squeal like stuck pigs when we actually criticize them. They don't want what they're doing to be broadcast. They don't want what they're doing to be written about. They don't want anybody to know the secrets of the inner sanctum. Oh dear. Now, it uses as an example the Darlington and Stockton Times, selling tens of thousands of copies per week. Its editorial and letters pages set the local agenda and kept candidates on their toes. If we debated the future of farming, the knowledge and policies of each candidate were analysed at great length. If we made an error about local health care, that would be rapidly exposed. A strong local paper was the mainstay of debate and accountability, quite apart from ensuring that everyone knew whose sheep had won top prize at the show and what the Women's Institute had discussed in the village hall. Now, this is William Hayes writing this. People are crying out for responsive local leadership and services. Yes, they are here too. Do we get them? No, we do not. What do? We move our council to Eastbourne. Our council are really threatening democracy, and they should hang their heads in bloody shame. It was done on efficiency basis, which has done nothing to assist. In fact, if anything, it's hurt efficiency. Not that it had much efficiency anyway. Out of 380 local authority districts, 209 had a daily local paper in 2007, but only 142 still had one in 2019. And that figure will be much lower now. Yeah, exactly what I was saying earlier. The arrival of social media has brought a sudden death syndrome for local news. Figures published last month by Press Gazette, by UK Press Gazette, suggest the main publishers' revenues fell by more than 80% when adjusted for inflation in 15 years. The number of local journalists beavering away at the deeds and misdeeds of councils, MPs, and civic leaders fell from around 13,000 to 4,000. Many of those are now reduced to recycling of police press releases and social media clips, trying to hit a target of several stories a day that are no longer the product of investigation and local knowledge. Some people have turned instead to local forums on social media, but these are a poor substitute. Who is investigating the corrupt councillor or verifying that money was wasted on that failed town centre, or just letting people know about parts of their community they don't see for themselves? Successive studies in the United States where similar news deserts have appeared all over the country, news deserts, not news deserts, show that the closure of local papers is linked to increased polarization, lower turnout in elections, and increased waste as a result of diminished scrutiny of local decisions. Now, let's add to that, because there is a definitive Harvard University study. One was made in the United States and one was made here, and they both found the same thing. If local news entities shrink, then the cost of local government goes up, its effectiveness or efficiency plummets, and it ceases to serve its community anywhere near as well when it had watchdogs. But we're a watchdog. We're only just sharpening our teeth. We are very new. There, it doesn't surprise me. And in fact, Lewis can be held up as an example. It is a mess. It's a mess. It doesn't do anything right. And when its so-called officers take a phone call and try to answer a question and have to say, I don't know Lewis at all, can you tell me where that is? That is the end of the road. And there's not one doing anything about it. There's not one that's concerned. What they want is a nice, easy life. They don't want questions asked. Mainly because they're not people of ability. And when they start being asked questions, that's when it starts to come out. It is absolutely disgraceful what's going on. And here are we, is a cadre of about 8 or 9, supported by 2 businesses in the town, because prior to us moving here, Cliff Aries and Sally at the White Hart were more than kind to us and supportive. There are people who are supportive of local media, but it's not the council. Oh, they would say, oh, well, we know, yeah, the people that will write whatever it is that they want written. Not the people who recognize the flaws and the breakdown in the governance system. What Hay says is the answer is to ensure a fair chance for new ideas in local media. A small cause for hope can be seen in a new venture such as Manchester Mill, which provides well-researched and original reporting on local issues through a subscription website. Spin-offs are being launched in other cities, and other attempts at investigative local news have started up in Bristol and Glasgow. Yes, these are all tiny at the moment and are up against the massive and generally destructive forces of the big tech companies. Worst of these is Meta, owner of Facebook, which first replaced many traditional papers with its own news feeds, then refused to pay for news it harvests from others, and is now deprioritizing news altogether. It is the great bottom trawler of the media ocean, sucking up the advertising it needs while laying waste to everything around it and then ensuring nothing can grow in its place. Challenged by Canada to pay news outlets for their work, it has simply removed its news links there. Such abuse of global dominance warrants some international solidarity. The UK could join with other countries to require links to local news and payment for them, and levy serious fines for non-compliance. Here at home, the new digital market bill must be used to require social media firms to negotiate with local papers. The BBC should focus on undeserved areas rather than compete. Google, which has been more responsible, could be asked to prioritize local journalism in searches rather than always ranking the BBC ahead of it. The BBC itself should expand its vital local democracy reporting service that focuses on undeserved areas rather than compete directly with the few remaining quality local papers. The constructive use of BBC reporters, resources, government advertising, and payment from tech giants could be used to support local media, new and old. Government could fund an Institute for Local Interest News as a Centres of Excellence recommended by the Cairncross Review in 2019. The expired Future News Pilot Fund could be relaunched and expanded to support new ideas. There are many more ideas which, as extending charitable status to local news outlets, but all of them are becoming urgent. Local newspapers have been virtually destroyed without adequate replacements. It's in all our interest to do something about it. Yeah, well, do something about it with Mirador. Yes, do something about it with Mirador. We're all over 50. We have we have no resources. I pay for the software that we use myself. And I don't take a penny, not that there's a penny to take, from this television company. We've got to rearrange things, but for the moment, it's important to us for it to survive, for it to do its job. And we will be as tough as we possibly can be to see that that job is done as far as we possibly can. Right. You got Susie and Philip tomorrow morning to start off with. You got Dr. Mark maybe in the guts of the day. And so I have to remember who's coming in at the death. Oh, Stuart Dolby. I have just talked about Stuart Dolby, or just talked about local media, and that is Stuart's bag. It should be a cracking couple of hours tomorrow. Very sparky. That's where we're for today, I think. Apart from it, I'm going hoarse. It's 25 past 10. Yeah, since 8 o'clock. A reminder, the pub quiz, very successful on Sunday night. Very successful. The next one, the second Sunday in April. Saturday, the Six Nations. All will be determined when England goes to Paris. They play the way they did last week, and perhaps everything will not be a foregone conclusion. And every week, every Sunday, the Sunday roast. And a good roast it is. A really good roast. Now, that's Tuesday morning. It's always a little quiet on Tuesday. But we have a full house tomorrow and a lot of party. Until then, I am going to say toodle, toodle, pip, if I can find the appropriate stuff. There we are, this is who we are. And here we are. From Lewis. In the Black Horse Pub.